I'm so excited.
Oh, you ready, man?
Oh, yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fight Bros Podcast number 29. Coming at you today. As always, I am Marcus Burks, and this is Albert Walters. I was going to let you say it. We ain't did one together in so long. We lost our rhythm.
The rhythm, yeah. I'll pick that back up. Hey. Yeah. Happy to be here.
Last week when I announced Ethan, I was expecting him to be like, yo, what's up, man? What's up? And he didn't do that. But
oh, man. Oh, that's funny.
Or somebody.
It's like the perfect start.
I can't remember what guest we had, but somebody was like, glad to be here.
That was totally Leaper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm glad to be here. Like,
yeah.
Just like, oh, that was fun. All right, so diving right in, UFC 252 was 2 nights ago?
Yeah.
2 nights ago. That was good, man.
Oh yeah, man, it was good. Definitely,
weird.
Definitely worth the price of the pay-per-view to me. You know, it was good. It's a good all around card, I thought. But I mean, let's go ahead and dive into it. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. I mean,
we're starting at the top.
Yeah.
Normally, you start at the.
Yeah, let's start with the best thing that happened tonight.
Okay.
So yeah, Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic. I mean, heck of a fight. You can't ask for any better fights than these two guys gave us over the 3 fights they had. I mean, every fight, these guys are so evenly matched.
Yeah.
I mean, every fight was just amazing to watch. And, you know.
Out of all 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Stipe Miocic won by unanimous decision. But it was still it was a competitive fight.
It was a close fight.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Like you were watching it and you did not know if one guy was going to get knocked out at any moment.
Yeah.
You did know that on the card, like, Stipe was winning.
Yeah.
Because he had more control. Seemed like he had, like, more accuracy in his hits. But, DC kept landing so many good strikes. You just did not know which one was going to make him stumble and DC get on top and win.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So it was a great fight. It was a good way to end it. It went to decision, so nobody had any, like, upset knockouts.
Yeah. Because
I remember DC saying that last time was like, it really upsetted him having his kids watch him get knocked out like that.
Yeah. And I mean, dude, it sucks. But I just want to reiterate on something you said. So you talked about, Stipe, what won him the fight. Now, I'm going to make this statement, but I know that he was up. I knew Stipe was winning the entire time. He might have lost the first round.
That one's a maybe.
That was close. But he was winning on the scorecards the whole time. But what I think really changed the fight and won Stipe the fight was the control time.
Absolutely.
So the control time. And then after that eye poke, Daniel Cormier was done. The eye poke went knuckle deep. I mean,
when Stipe poked DC in the
Yeah.
eye. I mean, I don't disagree with you. That happened at the end of the second round.
Yeah.
However, if you look at the control, when Stipe pressed him against the fence, his eye was swelling up.
Yeah.
From those, because DC always left that open. So Stipe was always going in with that right hook. And I mean, you watched it 20 times every round. DC would drop that hand, Stipe would go in on that left eye every time. And it was starting to swell. But I do agree that poke, like that shit,
it went
deep. I did not mean to cuss.
Oh, you're good.
But that went deep. So I think it pushed that eye over the edge to kind of really kind of blind him a little bit. So I don't disagree with you there, but I don't want anybody on the internet making excuses like, oh,
nah, yeah.
that's what made it swell up. It's like, no, it was swelling up before that, but that
shut it.
That closed the book.
But yeah, and I want to say that I'm not saying that he lost because of that eye poke. He was losing. He was losing before that. But that definitely, I mean, you could see his defense. His defense
it changed
was just
it changed
done
after that.
Yeah.
His depth perception changed. Yeah. I definitely agree with you that eye poke, and then. He's looking at the ref. I got poked in the eye, and the ref's like, looked like a hit to me.
That was ridiculous. Now, Mark Goddard,
He should have paused it at that moment.
But that's ridiculous.
But on the other hand, I'm glad he didn't, because if he did, I think it would have been a doctor stoppage.
Yeah,
like I really think it would have, which is a crappy way to end a trilogy.
Which would have set up another fight, but
I don't know. I think DC would have just been fed up almost. Like sometimes that happens, not always, but I could have seen him just being like, I'm done here.
Yeah.
But that would have been a crappy way to end your career, is with an eye poke.
Because, see, I had such a big problem with how Mark Goddard handled that situation, him being the veteran ref he is. I mean, he's the top of the, he's one of those refs you want reffing your fight, like Herb Dean and stuff. Mm-hmm. They put him on this main event for a reason.
Yeah, and like this ain't a UFC fight camp.
I've been watching UFC since 2015. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm an expert or nothing, but every time I see somebody get poked in the eye and they say something, the ref pauses it. And then, he gets confirmation from, somebody cage side. Yeah. And then at that point, he decides whether he's going to resume it right back up if it wasn't an eye poke or actually. But he didn't even try to get confirmation. Yeah. He said, "You got hit, DC. Sit down." And I just thought that was – and I know people on the internet have said that Mark Goddard has said stuff to fighters in the past like that and they criticize him because of that. But yeah, I just had such a big problem with that. And he apologized on the internet, and he apologized to Daniel Cormier and his team after the fight. So, I respect that. But I just feel like it would every other fight I've watched, when somebody gets poked in the eye, they automatically pause and try to get verification, from a cage side, official or something that it actually happened. I mean, they're sitting there on the monitors, so it should have gotten, resolved.
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. And for your fighters that will BS it and be like, I was poked in the eye, or, oh, they hit me in the junk. But you review the tape and it comes out that it wasn't like a crotch shot or it wasn't an eye gouge. They normally tell them, don't do it again. Yeah. Maybe you need a break. Don't tell me you got poked in the eye if you didn't. But that was, after reviewing the footage, that was totally an eye poke, and not even like a poke. That was pretty deep in there. So you really felt bad for him, because both guys got a pretty hard poke. Stipe had it in round one? Mm-hmm. Then, DC got it in the last 8 seconds of round two. And part of me thinks that that's why Mark Goddard made the decision he did.
I think,
knowing that some people will say it just to get a break. It's you're going to break in 8 seconds. I'm not stopping the fight.
And see, he jumped, and what I had a problem with is he jumped all over DC for that first eye poke. But, it's because he had these perceived, notions that DC's an eye poker, the first two fights, this and that. And that's why I feel like it was kind of personal when he didn't trust DC's judgment on the eye poke, because he was I feel like in his head he was already nah, he poked Stipe in the eye the first two fights, so I'm not going to give him that, which,
And I honestly completely agree with you, because if you remember what he said to DC after DC poked, after he gouged Stipe's eye, he goes, your fist was open, close it. They never tell you to change your fighting style, because most guys fight with an open fist in MMA because you can catch and block stuff better. So it's I was like, that's weird. It seems a little personal at that point that you're telling him hey, close your fist. So I don't know. I do agree. Maybe it was kind of a personal fight.
Yeah, I know he apologized and stuff, but I'm not giving him a pass. I do think he should at least receive a warning from the athletic commission. I'm not saying. Yeah,
I don't think he should be fined.
No, he shouldn't be fined or anything, but he should be put on notice that hey, this is how you handle those situations.
Yeah, it's
which we could be wrong. Maybe they're not supposed to pause the fight, but they do.
But they always have is the thing. And anytime someone's crotch shot, eye gouge, they're always stop. Yeah. And then they review it. And then whatever the review people say, because it only takes 10 seconds to review it, they just go back, slow motion it from all angles, and they're yeah, it was totally what it was. You get a doctor and check them out or whatever's needed.
Yeah.
So that's the way everyone's always done it. So it's weird that he didn't automatically just cut it.
So this kind of leads into another conversation I was thinking about today at work. So I don't know if you remember Bash Rutten, who was a UFC Hall of Famer. He
the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's like one of the original guys. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he runs he has his own like MMA thing. I can't remember what it's called. It might be called Kumite or something like that.
Okay.
And they was talking about, so does UFC keep the gloves that they have now? Because there's been a lot of eye pokes. Or do they go to the Pride FC gloves, which have your fingertips are still out, but there's a curve.
Over
so it's
them?
more like, yeah. So it's a curve. And like you actually have to extend those muscles in your hands to go palm full out with those Pride FC gloves.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not, when you're sitting there like this, your hands are already going to be
tips
curved.
are covered.
Rather than in regular UFC gloves, when you're like this, your hands are
fingers
kind of
are
pointed.
out. Yeah. So what's your opinion on it for the UFC?
I don't know, man. I think it should be something they consider. I think they should consider it and maybe like start testing it out at the contender series
or in like fight camps or something.
Yeah, and start testing. I mean, it's already been proven. I mean, Pride used it and stuff. But
it's proven to stop eye gouges, but is your fighters going to enjoy it?
Is the grapplers going to have a tougher time with it? Because certainly, like, we do not want people not to be able to grip and stuff like they need to be because
I feel like it's a handicap. Like you're telling someone who's a grappler. I mean, maybe you can get your full dexterity and it's just a cover.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like it would restrict you a little bit because, like you said, you got to like push out to open it up.
That's the point, though. Sometimes
Well, for it's the point for like eye gouging.
Yeah,
but. I don't know, man. I think that's one of those like risks you're willing to assume when you go in the ring, like concussion. You know, if it's a real fight, you're mostly like walking out with a concussion.
Yeah.
Or at least like a mild one, but I don't know. Like I feel like that's how fighters have always trained, and you've got a lot of people who are used to that are in the UFC. But I mean, if they start doing it, I'm not gonna like not like the UFC.
No, I mean,
I'm just more concerned for the fighters. Like, that's if you're like, you've got to wear shoes now.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would be like, it'd feel weird, Like, it'd feel heavy, especially for your kickboxers. Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, they definitely get more knockouts, but I think it'd feel weird. So, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe most people don't care. Yeah. Maybe a lot of fighters would like it, so they don't get poked in the eye.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're asking to get punched in the face. That's probably a lot easier than getting poked in the eye.
Yeah.
Because you got to see. So, but maybe do a poll with your fighters because that's really who it affects.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
So, yeah. So, I guess let's get back into DC. We'll kind of finish up this topic. So, but we'll get back into Stipe on our next topic. But, let's go ahead. DC retired.
Officially?
He's officially retired.
Do you think
buy it?
Well, do you want to jump into that, like, fourth topic down now? Because it kind of relates to that.
I mean, yeah, it might, but I don't see it. But, I mean, it's okay if we bring DC back up. But, like, we'll just talk about the retirement now.
I did buy it until Jon Jones's news came out.
Yeah.
Like I think he was legitimate about retiring, but now after hearing Jones's news that we're going to get into, I don't know if I believe it anymore.
Yeah.
But what do you think on it?
Yeah, I buy it. I mean, he's like you said, he's about to have DC said he's about to have another kid in 3 months. He's 41. I mean, heck, he's got so much other stuff outside of fighting. I mean, he just got paid buco by EA to commentate the whole UFC game. I mean, he's other than
How much did he get paid?
A lot.
Oh, did he announce it?
No, but I mean, yeah, they say like the guys who do stuff like that. Like, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. And he's still He's not going to stop commentating.
He's the second best commentator other than Joe Rogan. I mean, they're probably up there about the same. Honestly, they're probably about the same. Like,
it's great
to
watch
both of them commentate. Together. Yeah, I mean, John Anik's good and stuff too. Those three are really good, but
it seems like that's your three main ones.
And then, like he said, like ESPN interviewed him to be a regular analyst, like to cover all sports, and he could do that. I mean, he's just
Did he not get the job?
I don't know. Maybe he's just sticking with. I mean, he already is with ESPN right now. Yeah. But I mean, he's got that kind of personality and charisma on the commentating that he could do a sports center and cover all sports and stuff like that. He's just one of those guys that's kind of made for those gigs. Not made for it, but he's
good at it.
Yeah. He's so knowledgeable about UFC and everything with it. That's what makes him such a good commentator. But yeah, I buy it. I think he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, he achieved more than people wish they could.
Absolutely,
double champ and
he's had a very successful career.
Yeah,
and he's only had 3 losses.
Yeah,
and 2 of those are Stipe, and the other one's Jones.
Yeah, and then the other Jones loss got disqualified. Well, both Jones losses should officially get disqualified because he got tested positive. But
yeah, I wish they would take that other one away.
Yeah.
I'm glad they took the first one away. I wish they would have taken the other one away.
Yeah, they need to.
Yeah, because it's like...
I mean, I know people aren't going to forget it, but I think it should be erased from the record. I mean, obviously it's not going to be erased from our minds. The video will still be there, but yeah.
Yeah, well, no. That's what I'm saying. It should be erased from the record because he had an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
He doesn't deserve that win.
Yeah.
And honestly, you could even argue he should give some money back to those fighters because if they would have won, they would have gotten a bigger purse that night.
Yeah.
And so people could totally sue him for a civil lawsuit being like, I could have made $500,000 more that night.
Mm-hmm.
But you won because of an unfair advantage.
I agree, yeah.
So, if the UFC was like, yeah, for everyone you beat while you were taking roids, you got to give them half of what they should have won.
Yeah, that's what Mark Hunt wanted with Brock Lesnar. He took Lesnar. He's taking the UFC to court. He wanted some payment for all those hits he took to the head and stuff against these guys who failed drug tests.
Yeah. I don't think that's unfair, though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you're not saying, and that's why you should probably just do half of the difference, know? Like, let's say the winner, I don't know, but let's say the winner got $1 million, loser got $500,000 without any extra ads or endorsements. And you don't know if the other person was going to win, but let's say both win or lose, both people were going to make the same. Maybe it'd be fair to give that person $250,000.
Yeah.
Because, you can't prove you were going to win because we all know. I mean, let's look at, the Lewis and the Russians fight. Lewis was losing the whole time. Last 25 seconds of the last round, Lewis, knocked the guy's head off his neck.
Broke his neck.
Yeah, broke his neck. And so you can't prove you were going to win any fight. However, you can sit there and say, I could have won, but his unfair advantage made me not win. You should get at least half of that purse back.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's unfair. So, you shouldn't count that as a loss, and that person should give you some money. And they probably should be kicked out of the UFC.
Yeah.
Because that's not fair. What kind of character is that?
Yeah, I agree.
But, I'm kind of harsh, I think.
Yeah. So we'll put that Jon Jones talk on hold. We'll
get
finish talking about this UFC 252. And I'm so stoked about. I mean, obviously, I'm not glad O'Malley got injured, but I said last week on the podcast I picked O'Malley to win. Literally the day before, I was watching interviews and stuff, and I was like, "Man, this dude is so cocky." And then I started looking up Marlon Vera, all this different kind of stuff. I didn't know a whole lot about him. And I was like, O'Malley has just gotten his head so blown up, with this next McGregor talk and all this and that.
Yeah, and he's trying to wear some fur coats and stuff.
I was like, Marlon Vera is on a 5-fight win streak, this and that. He's a veteran. He's been in the UFC since 2014. And then I changed my mind. I said, I think Vera's going to win. And, I mean,
I'm glad he did.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, so Marlon Vera ended up winning by TKO, and a lot of people are like, nah, it didn't count. O'Malley kind of hurt himself. No, if you go back and look at it, the calf kicks are what caused that injury.
Potentially.
Potentially. They said the calf kicks did something to the nerve and then it essentially caused that
made his foot collapse out from under him. Well, yeah,
because they pulled up videos of fighters that it's happened to, like it happened to Michael Chandler over in Bellator. Mm-hmm. He even confirmed it. He said it's like a real thing, like the nerves. So I mean, essentially, Marlon Vera like damaged the nerves with calf kicks that led to him, and then the X-ray results came back from O'Malley. He doesn't have a broken ankle or anything, so they're getting an MRI to see nerve damage and ligament damage and stuff.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like,
well, he kept whooping and hollering, broken ankle, broken foot, whatever. But if you look at the video, it just didn't look like that. Everything looked like it was still a whole piece, which makes sense now that they're confirming that it wasn't broken. That it was just like dulled nerve or something, and it collapsed out from under him.
Yeah, and see, a lot of people are giving him flack because, once it came out that it wasn't broke, he got carried out on a stretcher. And I know there's a lot of tough guys that I feel like in the UFC, and I'm not saying me because I'm not a fighter or anything, so don't take this out of proportion because I'm saying that I'm not like testing his manhood or anything, but there's a lot of fighters in the UFC that if that would have happened, they wouldn't have just kind of laid down and took the TKOs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Diaz, I could see a lot of guys. I mean, there's a lot of tough guys that, worse stuff.
Yeah, a lot worse stuff. There's a lot of guys who fought with broken foots in the ring. And this is something that I feel like you commonly see with people kind of like this, they're like, oh, I'm so tough, I've won a lot of fights, or I'm undefeated. Like your McGregor arrogant people that anytime they get knocked down, it seems like it's excuse after excuse.
Yeah.
They try to, bombasticate it by sitting on a stretcher or something like that, when a lot of people could just hobble out or whatever, or continue to fight without blaming your loss on that.
See, that's what I had the problem with is literally the injury took over Marlon Vera's win. Like, no, he stopped the hype. Like, that's what he said to Joe Rogan after, because Joe Rogan's so big on, it's the Sugar Show, it's the Sugar Sean O'Malley Show and stuff on his podcast. Joe Rogan's a big Sean O'Malley fan. And, he hopped over the fence. He said it's the Vera Show or Cheeto Show or something. It's Cheeto's his nickname. And I was like, man, that's true. Like, he literally went out there and earned it. And do I want to see the rematch? Yes, I want to see the rematch.
It wouldn't be a bad rematch.
Yeah, I think it needs to happen just to kind of silence everything. But, I mean, to me, in my eyes, he was the better fighter. He put down all the hype. I wish I would have put money on it because I seen where some guy put $40K down and won $190K.
Yeah.
Because he betted on Vera. He was a pretty good underdog. On Vegas odds.
It'd be kind of fun to get into betting on underdogs sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have put down that much. I might have put $50 or $100 down, but it still would have won me, I don't know, $200 or $300.
A good amount, yeah. Well, $50 would have won you $150 almost. Yeah. So that wouldn't be bad at all.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I just think Vera deserves a little bit more credit for that win. Because people were saying O'Malley's the next McGregor. A lot of that. And I mean, he still might be. I mean, everybody has their setbacks. Everybody has to have that fight in the UFC when you kind of get humbled. So
you kind of get knocked back down to earth a little bit.
So maybe, he'll respond back from this. McGregor got humbled by Diaz and then he came back. So maybe, maybe he'll come back from this, but definitely Vera deserves some credit.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah. So let's get into the third fight on this card, JDS versus Rosenstruck. Two teammates that never trained together yet, but they worked out at the same gym, fight for the same team. Rosenstruck gets another knockout after being knocked unconscious by Francis Ngannou. That was scary, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought Rosenstruck was coming back too soon. I was like, nah, I don't think he's going to win. And then I was like, wow, JDS, man, that dude, that's the like most cut I've ever seen a heavyweight.
I mean, he looked really good for for his weight class.
He looked almost as good as Uberim. Alistair Overeem when he was on that horse meat.
He looked like Costa, man.
Yeah.
Like he looked like Costa, just like stretched out a little bit, like a taller Costa, but it's like how are you keeping that physique at your weight class?
Yeah. So I kind of thought, I was like, oh man, JDS, he's ready to get that title back. And I mean, it was going good. I mean, it
seemed pretty evenly matched,
even, but that's all it takes from Rosenstruck is that's all it takes, and we'll see what's next for him. I mean, there's some fun fights up there. There is, he's got. I think what's going to be next for him is Derek Lewis. I think that's what's going to happen because
that's probably pretty accurate.
He already beat Alistair Overeem, which he really didn't beat him. He beat him by a last-second knockout, and it wasn't even a knockout because Overeem jumped right back up. And Overeem dominated him on the points for 5 rounds. But yeah, I could see Rosenstruck versus Derek Lewis happening, and that would be a good fight. Yeah, both of them are kind of not technical guys; like they literally just rely on knockout power. They both don't have good stamina; it's just knockout power. So.
Yeah. But with people like that,
you might get a bad fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the problem. You're going to get most likely a bad fight like Lewis Ngannou because they're both waiting on the other one to swing until the last 15 seconds of the last round because they're like, oh, I've got to do something now. So it can make for a good knockout but a very boring fight.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's pretty much it for JDS now. Like, Lewis is probably the best option. Because there's just not a lot of people in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, and that's why
he's not going to get a Miocic, obviously.
Let's go ahead and get into this next conversation because we might be having some new blood in the heavyweight division. So literally just like 30 minutes ago, Jon Jones has told Dana White that he didn't sign a new contract with the UFC, I believe. It wasn't like a fight contract, but he has let them know that he is relinquishing the light heavyweight title. That title will now be fought for by Jan Blachowicz and Dominic Reyes. Jon Jones said that he is going to stay in the USADA testing pool, but he said he's just going to keep working on martial arts and stuff over the next few months. But he kind of made it seem that he is done with the UFC. He thanked the UFC for the opportunities and stuff. But we all know where this is going. We know what it's doing. He's been posting these pictures deadlifting 500 pounds, 600 pounds. He's getting big to go up to heavyweight. He is putting on some serious weight. And I hope he's doing it the right way because,
I'm sure USADA is going to make sure.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. They know how to get around that. Some of them fighters do. They know how to get around it.
There's so many different ways.
There's some dirty people out there that help them get around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not buying that, man. I know he's going up to heavyweight. That's where the money fight is. That's where history and legacy is going to be made. And this is how I want him to do it. I want him to fight Ngannou, Jon Jones versus Ngannou. The winner gets Stipe Miocic. I just don't think that
be so good,
doing that Stipe fight right off is not going to. I mean, yeah, it'll sell good. But I feel like the Ngannou Jon Jones sells more.
I don't. I feel, as far as selling, I don't know because you could be like champ versus champ.
Yeah,
and that's a really good sell too. But also, it's like, do you think he deserves a gateway through Ngannou? And Ngannou is not normally perceived as a gateway, but for someone like Jones to fight Miocic, maybe it would be a gateway. Because Miocic and Ngannou didn't fight too long ago.
Yeah.
Should you let Ngannou fight him again? I think right now the best case scenario.
I think Miocic better stay away from Ngannou because he's taking. I mean, them shots by DC. I think Ngannou hits a lot harder than DC, and them shots by DC.
Yeah,
I think it's a different Ngannou than what he fought before. It's a different Ngannou than what fought Derek Lewis. I mean. What he did to Rosenstruck was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sitting there like, the fight just started. Yeah.
Oh,
Rosenstruck came forward. Yeah, man, but that was crazy when Rosenstruck was coming forward. All of a sudden Rosenstruck was coming forward, man, and then Ngannou just freaking knocked him out, and that was scary, man. But yeah, definitely crazy Ngannou. Like
that's why I fear for Ngannou and Miocic or Ngannou and Jones.
Yeah.
But I don't want Miocic to lose, so I'd rather him face Jones.
Yeah. And I definitely think Francis Ngannou, Jon Jones, that's the fight that needs to be made. But
well, absolutely. If Jones, Jones isn't going to actually get out of the UFC because he's stuck with USADA testing. So he's going to keep testing. He's going to keep lifting and getting big. I think the best fight for him is going to be Ngannou.
I agree. That's the money fight. That was the money fight to make when they was talking about it a couple of months ago. And, supposedly it was going to go through, but Jon Jones felt like he wasn't getting offered enough money to take that big of a risk, which I understand, man. Hey, get paid because you might be knocked out. So you need to get paid for that. Definitely.
Yeah. And he is a big name. So, but I guess that goes into I don't really think UFC fighters are paid enough anyways.
Yeah.
Without them, you're nothing. Your franchise is absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. So you can't build a business on bouncy balls and then not have bouncy balls that don't bounce.
Yeah.
So you've got to invest in your bouncy balls, and that's how this is. So I feel like they're not paid well enough.
Yeah.
So if you're taking a huge risk facing a monster like Ngannou, you deserve bank.
Yeah.
Because that dude could cripple you. He could cripple your mind with as hard as he hits.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't left some people with legitimate brain problems because he's hit him so hard. I mean, when he knocked out Overeem and those eyes went to the back of his head.
That was scary, man. Yeah.
It was oh my God, Overeem's such a powerful person.
Yeah.
You just made him see his brain. Ooh, jeez.
Yeah, definitely that's going to be the fan favorite fight is Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou.
Absolutely.
And speaking of fan favorite fights.
Oh, I'm excited.
Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington, September 19th. We've been waiting for this.
We've been waiting for this for a long time.
They finally delivered. These two hate each other, man. They genuinely hate each other. Former teammates, they were training partners.
Yeah.
Former teammates, former training partners. They literally hate each other. This is a genuine hate. This isn't Jorge Masvidal, Usman, and then after the fight they shook hands and it was all this respect and stuff. There's not going to be any of that. If either one of these two guys lose after the fight, it's still hate. It's still I'll fight you if I see you outside. I don't care if you just beat me or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These guys really hate each other, and that's what makes this fight so fun. And it's been needing to happen, and there's a lot of ways it can go. But taking the analyst side, this is a tough fight for Tyron Woodley. He's coming off 10 in the last 10 rounds that he's fought. All of those have been, he lost 10 rounds in a row. That's how I meant to say.
Yeah.
He's lost 10 rounds in a row.
Yeah.
I should have just said it like that instead of mumbling.
Oh, you're fine, man. You're fine.
But, so he's coming off 10 round losses in a row.
10 round losses.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
It sounds better to say, he lost 10 rounds.
He lost 10 rounds.
Yeah, he lost 10 rounds in a row.
Yeah, so that's what he's coming off of. So definitely, that's going to be tough. You're looking at a Colby Covington that comes forward. He likes a dirty box. He likes to hold you. He doesn't get tired. He keeps throwing strikes. He set the UFC record for the strikes thrown. So, he's going to bring it, man. But I'm going for Tyron Woodley all the way. Yeah,
well, the thing is with Woodley, when we saw Woodley, before he got the belt, before he was the champ, that Woodley was such an aggressive forward fighter.
Yeah.
Once he got the belt and became the champ, it seemed like we got a retired fighter. He was doing bare minimum. He was counter punching. Didn't mean he didn't do a good job, but he wasn't a great show fighter anymore. He wasn't like a very aggressive fighter. He was, I'll do what I can only to keep the belt. Yeah. Not to deserve the belt, but just to keep the belt. So when he lost to Usman got the belt. It was a big, idea really theory that Woodley was going to come back, be that aggressive fighter again, and he hasn't for his last two fights.
I just think that Usman fight didn't get him up in the morning. You know what I'm saying? He didn't literally this gets him up in the morning.
You think so?
Yeah, and this is he's been making music, he's been acting and stuff. You're in quarantine now. You hate this guy. He's been getting up. He's posted videos. He's running on the treadmill at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, or he's up at 4 o'clock in the morning just running because he's I think he's very focused on Colby Covington. This hate is driving him. Tyron Woodley looked. Before the fight, he looked really good against Burns. You were like, wow, Tyron Woodley's so motivated. He looks in the best shape of his life. But, respect to Gilbert Burns, man.
Yeah, he's a good fighter.
Yeah, but like we've said before, is killer Tyron Woodley going to come up? Because, your back's against the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of think you need to go out there like your back's against the wall. I ain't got nothing to lose. Everybody already thinks I'm down and out. Everybody already thinks that I'm going to get forced into retirement. So why don't you go out there and throw hands? Are we going to get that Woodley or are we going to get Counterpuncher Woodley? Which, take nothing away from Counterpuncher Woodley. Counterpuncher Woodley beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson twice, pretty much. I know one of them was a draw. He beat Damian Maia. Counterpuncher Woodley beat Darren Till in kind of brutal fashion, the way he beat Darren Till. So I just think he needed a fire lit under him, and hopefully this is that fire. Now I'm not saying he won't ever be a champion again, but beating Colby Covington, that comes with a lot of perks, man. You're going to be a champion in a lot of people's eyes because a lot of people want to see him be shut up.
Absolutely. And he was shut up with Usman, but that didn't shut him up. I don't think anything will shut him up, but it'd be nice to see someone just knock him out. And so,
because there's people that that don't watch UFC and like Colby Covington for the reasons. You can look up pictures of Colby Covington and you can tell his character. We're not going to get into his character on the show. But, for political reasons.
Well, you can get into his character, but we're not going to get into politics.
For political reasons, there's a lot of people that like Colby Covington because of that, but they don't even watch UFC. When we were at Buffalo Wild Wings, there was people there that just for that political reason
were there. Yeah.
And, so.
Making big deals about the politics. Well, so, there was a lot of people at Buffalo Wild Wings. They, they were there just for the politics, and so. That's honestly my problem with Colby Covington is I don't like his arrogance because I don't like the arrogance of McGregor. Mm-hmm. I don't like the arrogance of Gaethje. I don't like the arrogance of Sugar. And a lot of people put on that arrogant persona just for you to not like them. They want to be a heel because if they're a heel and they're winning, they're going to stay in the UFC. And they're making more money because they're bringing in more people to watch them because more people want to watch them to lose.
Yeah.
So I don't like Covington because of his arrogance, and I also don't like him because he brought politics into the UFC. I don't care what your political view is on it. I'm not saying I do like him personally because of his politics or I don't like him because of his politics. I don't like that he brought politics into something that was not political.
Yeah.
Because everywhere you go, there's something about politics one way or the other. For me, I just don't care to get into it no matter what. I like life without politics.
Yeah.
I loved this sport without politics. Yeah. And he became a gateway that turned this sport into politics. So, like you said, he has a lot of people watching him that have never even watched the UFC. Some people have never heard of it.
Yeah, a lot of people are watching him because they support what he's supporting.
Yeah, and I guess that's good.
There's a lot of outsiders watching him that
want to see him lose because of his support.
Because of that, and they ain't even into UFC.
And so Dana White, I'm sure, loves that outcome.
Yeah.
But for me, I just hate it because it's like, could you have been a bad guy without bringing politics into this? Because he puts on that bad guy persona. A lot of people say his personality is actually very nice.
Yeah.
I've never
I've
never met the guy
that I sent you on Instagram. It was actually it was very genuine. It was a guy and Colby Covington. I think it was recorded last year. It was a guy that was an up and comer fighter who's fighting on the amateurs, and he actually got like to do a meet and greet backstage, and it was just him. No, it wasn't even a meet and greet. Like Colby was walking down like the backstage area, and he was behind the fence, and he said, "Hey Colby, can you come here for a minute, man?" And he was like, "Hey, do you got any tips for me?" He was like, "I'm an up and coming fighter," and Colby was like real genuine. He was like, "Man, you just gotta love it. You gotta put your everything into it." He was like, if you don't have the size or something and you don't have like this and that, he was like, don't let nobody tell you that you can't make it because of that. He was like, you may not just get to walk right through the door. He was like, you may have to, crawl under it or build steps, build something to jump over that wall. He was like, your path might be harder than somebody else's, but he was like, you're going to do it. And then he said, Colby, man, he said, that means so much. He was like, let me ask you one question. He said, why do you bring all that hate? Why do you act like that? And he said, because it sells, man. He was like, they was about to put me out of the UFC. So he said right there, and I was like, dang, man, for one little second, I was like, dang, man, he's a
normal person. He's good-hearted. Yeah.
Then I looked at his Instagram, and then I was like, nah,
and then he's like, yeah, and, that's the thing that I hate about him. And that I think that makes it so much worse. Now, don't get me wrong. You can't blame a guy for wanting a job.
Yeah.
You never can. But that makes it so much worse that he's naturally a good person away from any cameras, away from any, whatever. When he's by himself, he's a good person. And that's why I hate him so much more, because it's like you're a good person and you're bringing this hate into the UFC because of the arrogance, not the politics. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're bringing hate into it because people hate you either because of your political view or just like me. I don't like you because you're bringing politics into this. Mm-hmm. But I hate that he's bringing in, this negative connotation, but I can't blame him because he said it right then and there. Like, it's a job. Like, they're about to kick him out. So you don't want a regular job. So you can't blame the guy, but it's just like, I wish you could have did it any other way without bringing politics into this sport.
Yeah. But this is going to be a barn burner, man. These two guys, they hate each other. They
naturally hate each other.
They both have a fire lit under them. They're both so motivated for this fight. Tyron Woodley wants to, put it into all this Colby Covington talk. He wants to show that he was the better guy back then. He's the better guy now.
Yeah.
Colby said that he
wants to retire.
He said he outdid Tyron Woodley in training, that he used to make him quit. And Tyron Woodley says that he's got videos that he can post. He's like, I ain't going to post the videos, but I got them if it comes to that, saying that he outdid them. And I mean, so there's a lot of he said, she said stuff. So, we're going to get to find out. And I'm so excited for this.
Well, I hope that with this fight, we see Woodley's drive. We see the old Woodley, very aggressive, very forward fighter. Because that's the fighter that Covington is. Mm-hmm. Now, we never know. Covington might come out and be extremely reserved. That's not likely for him, though. He's not that kind of fighter. So if we see Woodley being a forward fighter and Covington being a forward fighter, this fight has a recipe to be a better fight than Costa and Romero.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, yeah, that's what I was thinking, too. I was like, I'm looking more forward to this than I am Paulo Costa and Israel Adesanya. And I mean, it's like this though.
They're like neck and neck,
But we got some good fights coming up, man. We got
a lot of great fights.
Costa, Israel, and then we got Tyron Woodley, Colby Covington, and then we got Justin Gaethje versus Khabib. I mean, the UFC is really spoiling us and giving us those fights we want.
Oh, I mean,
there's next couple of months and next couple of weeks. We're really going to be seeing some shows, those fan fights we want to see.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great fights coming up, and I'm so excited to see them all. I mean, I think, and it's kind of starting off with the Woodley Covington. We were going to have Romero this weekend, but we don't.
Yeah.
So next big one's Woodley Covington. It's going to be a great fight. Not a great night overall. Cowboys probably is set to fight that night. But other than that, I think it's a pretty bland night.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a great fight if we get the Woodley that is going to be the Woodley that's going to fight his way out of this hole.
Man, I can't wait. I'm so stoked. You know, I was playing this fight the other night on UFC 4. I was doing it. I was doing it in Kimbo Slice's backyard. Man.
Oh, that's so cool!
I ain't gonna tell you how it went though, because you know I'm a rookie on UFC right now. So I did that fight 3 times. I ain't telling you how many times I won though. You know,
I'm gonna say 0.
Yeah, but you know,
well, that ain't real life.
Yeah, it ain't real life. So,
oh man, well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this goes, because if Covington wins, most likely Woodley's out of the game.
Yeah.
You know, unless it's a close win, like, you know, split decision or something crazy like that. And then Woodley's probably going to stay in it. But if it's like a total, like, Woodley being Woodley that he's been lately, and Covington being the Covington he's been lately, then Woodley's out of the game. He's going to have to go into commentating.
Yeah, and he's good at that. You know, he's got stuff after fighting like DC, but man, I still think he's got it.
Yeah.
Still think he's got it. So
absolutely.
Definitely looking forward to this one. Mark this one on your calendar. You're going to want to watch this.
September 19th. We got 4.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So, well, is there anything else you want to add to it?
Nah, man.
No.
You know, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for supporting us. Definitely have, you know, this was a hobby we was thinking of, and, you know, now it's legit, and it's one of my favorite hobbies. So, other than, you know, this and basketball. So, you know, let's keep it rolling. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.